we're going to kick it off with Ben doing a magic performance. The reason I like Ben so much in my relationship with Ben is Ben taught me a lot about production. So Ben works in LA 20 years now, professional, magician, comedian. He understands how to make things work smoothly for the audience. And I've watched him perform in real life, and it's incredible. So he'll do some amazing things, and he has a virtual performance, and I just want to showcase his skills. I think that's what this group about is for me, is just learning and sharing different skills we have. And Connor, thank you for being so gracious to share your skills today after the performance. But we'll have the entertainment piece. He'll talk about, you can ask him questions. So I said, please ask Ben questions you might have about how he works with people. He has great connections. He's good to know. So even virtually, it's awesome. And then we'll just kind of mingle here after and have questions with Connor. So any questions before we start with Ben? Okay, cool.
Your cameras on?
Cameras are on. That's just kind of capturing it so we can relive it if you weren't here. If you weren't here, shame on you. Shame on all of you. No, but really we want people to be here in person so it feels like a connection and a network. So that's the first thing. So I'll stop here and we'll get Ben up. Well, look at that.
Hey, Ben.
Hello. Hey, Ben.
Hello.
Hey.
And now we can
Hey, everyone. Hi. So nice to see you, Jordan. Thank you for the introduction. Honored to be with you virtually. First of all, because I do magic tricks, that is what I do. People always think there's some sort of camera trick. I want you to know this is actually what my room looks like. Just to be clear, like people say, "Oh, it's a green screen." This is my room. It's very messy though, so let me remove the green screen. Sorry, I just look when I'm in Zoom meeting mode. They're seeing this, but I'm giving you the real shit. I got projects all over the place. I'm gonna do a few things for you. I did this virtual show during COVID. How Jordan and I met. Kelsey, I think you've seen this, so I apologize in advance. Excuse me. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I did a lot of drinking during COVID. I'm still working on it. Yeah, I did these shows over Zoom during COVID. Right, I couldn't perform. All my live dates were canceled, and so I started doing this visual magic thing. So I'm going to do a piece from the virtual show, and I'm going to do something at Jordan you haven't even seen before. So this is a little bit of sleight of hand. First of all, you can all hear and see me. Yes.
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay, thank you. Audience feedback is very important. I don't want you to ooh ah ooh ah. I want you to be just in the moment and enjoy. I'm not looking for fake reactions here, but essentially what I want you to do is just notice that. Look, I'm gonna try to make it look like there's a coin in my hand, like an old silver dollar. No camera tricks, I promise. But if you watch right there,
Wow.
it starts to look like a silver dollar. Yeah, thanks for noticing, by the way. Thanks for noticing. We'll grab another one right there. That's the second one if you watch right there. Two. Now these are here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can actually see everything. 2 coins, nothing else. Nothing behind my hands, nothing behind the coins. Watch both of them. We'll see if we can get a third right there.
Okay.
Thank you for noticing. So the idea with this is that the coins are going to travel invisibly from one place to another. It happens one by one, and my hands will stay in frame one by one. They go from here to there. That's the first one. And I know it happens quickly. I know it happens quickly, so I'll do it again. Now you know what to look for. That's 2 and 1. It's impossible for me to have 2 here and to also have 2 over there. I would have to have 1. He's a witch! Burn him!
What?
I know. I'll do the last one in slow motion so you can see it go. This time you'll actually see it go from here to here. Watch closely. It's not nearly as good when you see how it works. It's not nearly as good when you see all 3 of them go, so I'll tell you what, I'll start that one over so you can see it actually go. And if you watch that coin, it stays in front of you. You're going to see the moment that it appears over there. Thank you. I will pause. I love the fact that Zoom comes out as background noise, so I just see you silently laying down here. I can see it. It makes me feel good. We're going to land this plan, though, by reminding you that these are solid silver coins. If you were with me in person, I would give these to you to handle so you could examine them. notice too that my sleeves are rolled up and I'm staying within the frame, right? And with all these things in mind, even though you know this is sleight of hand, your brain starts to trick yourself a little bit. And if you come along for the ride, knowing that my sleeves are rolled up and I'm moving slowly, you get the feeling that that one, that two, and that third coin that's no longer there is real magic.
Wow.
That's two. That's two. Watch this one right here. Again, I'm keeping everything right here in frame. Watch.
Wow.
Like that. And I want you to watch that last coin so you can actually see it go. It's also
So good.
Thank you. Thank you kindly. Thank you. It's great to be here in my office. Okay.
Or is it a green?
So I did the virtual show during COVID. It was kind of cool because it allowed me to do some close-up magic, which I normally would be able to do for large groups of people. But my main thing is performing at private and corporate events for money, and then I do a theater show called Con Man, a true crime magic show, which is the passion project, and that's a show about con artists and card cheats and psychics and people who take advantage of your trust essentially to cheat you. And so I'm going to do an excerpt from this. Jordan, I know you're videotaping that. This is totally fine, but please make sure this doesn't leak because this is directly from the show.
Absolutely incredible.
Thank you, guys.
So sick.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So before I disappear here, I just want to say magic is my life. It's given me everything. I love it dearly. This is a composition that took me years to create, and I'm very proud of it. It's still a little rough around the edges, but I'm getting there with it. I think that if I can, I'll take a couple questions if you're interested, but I'll also leave you with a couple of thoughts on just like thoughts from one creative to another. Even though we do very different things, we're all like in the same business in a way. And I'm now at this point in my career where people are considering me an expert, which is uncomfortable because I don't think I'm an expert in anything. But I get introduced that way quite a bit. And I was thinking about it. I don't necessarily think I'm an expert on anything except for asking for help. I think that's been my greatest asset today, is to acknowledge when there's something that I'm bad at and ask for help. And I think in many ways, that's why Jordan and I became friends. He's been incredibly generous helping me with some of the technical things that I need help with when it comes to production, video editing, etc., setting things up on OBS and QLab, all these various things that I'm not an expert in. And I've asked him for help on numerous occasions, and he's been wonderful. I mean, Kelsey and him let me sleep at their house during the pandemic. That's how we met. This is pretty amazing. But I asked him for help with a number of things, and as a result, Jordan has helped me. And now I can pretty much guarantee that if there's any way I can possibly help you, brother, I will. Right? Like, you asked me to do this. I don't even really do virtual shows or perform on Zoom anymore. But I move mountains to help you. And so I think those relationships mean everything in the business that we have. So, like, if I can leave you with anything, I think it's that, which is just like, sometimes you end up taking a hit and like maybe doing something that you're paid for not as much as you might deserve, or, you know, I've done so much on spec that has led to TV appearances, for example. But like, building those relationships, even if it's like, oh, this is going to be a job that maybe sucks for a little bit, sometimes something amazing comes out of that. So those are the thoughts I'm going to leave you with. And if anyone has any questions about literally anything, I don't tip a method, right? I'm not going to explain how magic works, but if you have any other questions, I mean, Jordan, feel free to, if anyone has any, you know, take the lead and point them out. And before I disappear, if there's anything anyone wants, yes.
Hey, Ben, I'm Connor. Awesome job. That was really fun to watch, so thank you. Ben, how does it feel to have the job that, if you ask any kid, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
A magician or a teacher or an astronaut? Like, your job that you're doing right now is what my kids tell people they want to do when they grow up. And at what point did you realize that's actually a way I can provide for myself?
Yeah. Hey, Connor. Really nice to meet you. Thank you for the kind words. I think I got really obsessed with the idea of doing this to make a living out of it. I didn't want to get rich. I just wanted to put food on the table. And I went back to my folks' house recently and found this like card that I like literally glued to the wall in my parents' bedroom that said something like, "Do you want to have a job that supports your art, or let art support your life?" And I think I wrote that when I was like 14, which is insane. Um, I think I've always wanted to do it, like since I realized that that was a possibility, and so I think I decided like no backup plan, which isn't necessarily good advice to anyone, right? Like there's a lot of people who make a good living doing something creative, but it's like it's a side hustle, and sometimes that's way better and smarter and more sustainable because there's sacrifices, right? Like I'm married and I'm on the road a lot. That's a big sacrifice. I'm working, like it doesn't ever turn off, right? I'm always, whether it's designing magic, which is the fun part, I'll stay up till 5 a.m. working on a trick. That's exciting, but like the grind of all the admin and all that other stuff and being on planes, that stuff is not as fun, right? So it's not for everybody. And I see some magicians who got really into magic but then kept their day job and it stays very sacred. They don't have to make any sort of artistic compromises. But then I've also gotten to a point where I can pretty much not compromise too much in what I do unless I'm doing like a corporate event where I have to like really censor myself. The Con Man show is exactly what I want it to be, for example. So Connor, what was the question?
I think you answered it.
No, I answered it in a roundabout way. Any other questions?
Hi. First of all, amazing. Second of all, I wanted to know what other aspects of life has changed due to magic. Like, are there certain things that have stood out to you and you're like, wow, I didn't think magic would influence my life or the way I interact with people, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly my social circle has become inundated with sword swallowers and comedians and like very, very eccentric artists, which is awesome. I love that. So like my community has, I would have never expected that. And a cool thing is like I grew up reading these books on magic. Like the library behind me is just tons of books on magic, and pretty much everyone who's still alive who wrote one of those I have either met and hung out with or now is a close friend, and that's incredible. So I never anticipated that because I just wanted to be a magician. I didn't think I'd get to a point where like some of my heroes were like, "Oh, you pulled the shit out of me, man. That was incredible." And that feels good. That feels really cool. But I think the thing that surprised me the most is like the struggles that I have in life. Like I think anything else that I've struggled with, I think magic has sort of like helped me have a better understanding of them, which has been kind of interesting, like in a very cool way. So yeah, I don't think I would have anticipated that. And like, I think it would have been easier in many ways to have a job that was just like a clock in, clock out sort of job. But I think that I would have struggled because the interest wouldn't have been there. So like, yeah, the full-time artist thing is definitely not for everyone, but it happens to work for my brain chemistry. I can't imagine doing something else.
Cool. Yeah. I had a question. I mean, yeah, echoing everyone else, just awesome job. I've never seen sleight of hand like that. That was mad. I'm wondering if there was, were you just born with the bug? Was there like, did you read about Houdini? Did you see a performance? Like what put this in you, that you had to chase it?
Yeah. When I was a kid, it's kind of a classic story, but it's what happened. When I was a kid, someone pulled something out of my mom's ear at a fair, and I was like 6 years old, and just like my head exploded. And so guess who got a magic kit for Hanukkah? It was my birthday, and it was my 6th birthday. I couldn't do anything. I sucked. I had no skills. Right? You can't learning magic at 6 is insane. There's no way it's going to happen. So I learned a couple tricks and then I kind of lost it. But then I was doing theater, and then I saw this theater technician who was off in the corner, basically doing this with the ducky cards. And I was like, I'm going to talk to that guy. And I did. And it turns out he was a theater technician who did a tour with David Copperfield and was a magician himself. And he just kind of took me under his wing and started teaching me. And that's how the bug really bit, because early on I didn't have anywhere to go, right? Like, I'd read library books on magic and like pick up any one of these books. It's like another freaking language. But having someone who's actually walking you through something was insanely helpful. And I think that's when it started to really blossom. And around that time, the David Blaine specials came out, and I saw those, and I was like, well, this is cool. And then I saw like Amazing Jonathan on TV, legendary comedy magician. And around that time, I also found the George Carlin book, Brain Droppings, and got super into like stand-up without even realizing that he was a stand-up comedian. I just was like, oh, this is hilarious. And so it was that like amalgamation of thing that like kind of drew me in.
Awesome. I have a question. Yeah. I'm also Jordan.
Hey, Jordan.
Some might say better looking.
Better looking and taller.
Yeah.
Jordan is super tall. This is very different.
So you've adopted a craft that's centuries old, right? How challenging is it do you still find a lot of room for innovation in magic? And also, like, how challenging is it a competitive market, I guess, for magic in that same?
Great. Okay. Room for innovation. Yes, 100%. It's one of my favorite parts. I think it's one of the things that made me successful in this industry is that I create a lot of my own tricks. So this card routine, there's been a billion gambling style routines that have existed and been done by many magicians, like for years, right? There's a book written by F.W. Erdnase in 1902 that has all of this card cheating stuff. It was magic, sleight of hand with cards, and then also card cheating. To this day, no one knows who that guy was. He wrote it under a synonym or under a fake name, right? Because he was still cheating at cards, most likely. True story. And so a lot of this, like the foundations have existed for forever. But like when I first created the routine for the show, it was a lot of this like hardcore gambling sleight of hand, and that stuff does exist in this routine. But I realized there wasn't a lot of razzle dazzle, and like we're living in the age of people like scrolling like up TikTok, yep. And so I tried to design a routine that had a lot of these moves and techniques, but had more flashiness to it to really maintain people's attention. So in a way, this gambling routine was like designed for the TikTok generation in certain ways. And yeah, like I like to do, that's not my typical style. A lot of my show is very long form. I'll do like a 10-minute routine where there's like magical punches throughout, but then the big reveal happens at the end. But it's that we're not talking like the coins where it's just magic happening. There's like a slow burn. And so yeah, I love designing magic and like creating new stuff. It's insanely hard. And then there's always gonna be like sourdough bread. There's always gonna be like bits where it's like, oh, that dates back to a thing that was published in the 1950s, or here's an idea that's like, well, we know that we have to cause someone to think of this specific card. So I'm using this psychological technique to make them think of it, but then where we go with it is different. And so, yeah, I mean, that part's super fun. You can make a living being very entertaining and doing no new magic, right? There's like people like performing on cruise ships and, doing all sorts of shows all over the world, doing like cups and balls, linking rings, old school stuff. But I always loved this and wanted to innovate myself because it's like, that's what my heroes do. Like when I look back at like Armando Lucero and David Williamson and some of the Gary Thomas, some of the people whose books are behind me, they were all innovators. And my favorite thing was the holy trifecta of amazing innovator, very technically skilled, like great sleight of hand, and freaking hilarious. You wouldn't know by I don't try very hard to be funny in this context because it feels a little shticky, but on stage it's like, there's stand up in the show. So those three things really like helped sort of, that amalgamation is what the show came from. That desire. And then is it competitive? Yeah, definitely. Especially, I think nowadays even more so, because the cool and also difficult thing is that now everyone has access to everything. And so I think there are more people going like, whoa, I could make a living doing magic. I'm going to print my own business cards and go to the bar and start doing tricks for people to try to get hired for something. And, it's like what happened with the late night hosts when late night was still a thing. Like, for a while it was like there was like 3 guys and they were all white dudes, right? And then suddenly, like with the internet now, it's just like, well, it's like, we've got cable, right? And so there's like 10, and then like podcasts, and now there's 700 million people doing interviews. And so like the people at the top are never going to necessarily, it's going to be different, right? But there's room for more people in the space. And so in magic, like I've gotten to the point where luckily I'm in a position where I'm like pretty well positioned, where if someone's going to hire someone for a show and they're going to pay like, they're like, I'm looking for a magician, it's $1,000. I'm going to go, cool, that's not for me. There's someone who's going to take that gig. I don't need to try to get that gig anymore, which is, I feel very blessed. I've gotten to this niche where a lot of the clients hire me because they want me instead of just, I want a magician, let's find someone online. A lot of the people who bring me in are people who are like, oh, I saw the Vanity Fair video and we want you. And so feel very, very blessed for that.
Awesome.
I have a question, Ben. I know we're running a little long, so I appreciate you being here and sticking with us, Ben. I really love everything you just did. I haven't seen any of it, guys. That's all new to me. I've known Ben for 6 years, so he's innovating. The one question I have is an introspective one for the group. And I think you embody this, Ben. That's why I like being friends with Ben, is because he taught me something that I struggle with, which is asking for help. And I want to ask you, Ben, how did you learn how to ask for help? Because when you reached out to me, you were good at it. You made me care about it. I wanted to help you, but I could say no. But you're good at it. So this group's about helping each other. How did you figure out how to ask for help? And was that it's a tough process for me. I don't know how to do it that well.
Well, I use a psychological technique to get inside your head and make you want to.
I knew it.
So it's believable. It's believable. But yeah, that's a great question. I'm not really quite sure. I think that I've always wanted to provide value for other people. Like I think I very much want people to like me. I was a theater major. Can you tell? I very much want people's approval, and I want to make their days better. I want to make their lives better. I want people around me to feel happier. It's the campsite rule. I want to leave people better than when I first found them. And so I think my attitude, without even thinking about it, my attitude is, even if I'm asking for help from someone, like I'm just like trying to convey how much I value them and their time. And also like, look, if you are Jordan, I need help with this thing. I don't really have a budget. If you don't do it, I totally understand. We're all busy. Please say no if this is a pain in the ass. But like, you're an expert and I appreciate the hell out of you. And if you can take a couple minutes just to walk me through this, it would mean the world today. And I mean that. Like, I'm not making that up. When I said something like that to you 6 years ago, it was like, it was because I was like, dude, you're an expert in what you like. I can already tell you're an expert. And the more and more I got to know you, I was like, oh, Jordan's incredible. One thing I love about this guy is that Jordan will, he'll just learn anything and everything, right? Like there's a thing that he doesn't know how to do. Great. He's going to learn it. And I just find that so admirable. Like I don't have the attention to do that outside of magic, but I do it in magic. And so seeing you do that in production was just like super cool and inspiring. So like when I was throwing all those compliments at you and telling you how grateful I was, like all of that was real. And so I think I really lean into trying to just earnestly like not be embarrassed to tell people how much I appreciate them, and to go even further than that. Like, dude, I love you, man. And I don't want, like, I could die tomorrow. I want you to know that I love you, brother. Right. So I think like pulling back the like, at least the guys here, we're all raised in a society where there's a lot of like machismo in all of male culture, in varying degrees, and a lot of people are like scared to just be really earnest and vulnerable. And I think like being vulnerable and being able to explain to people how much you value them has helped me a lot, because I think people go like, oh, this guy actually does care. This guy does care. I might, you know what? I'll spend a couple minutes with him. And I think that simple approach, which I've never really done consciously, this is the first time I'm even trying to voice this as an idea. But I think just genuinely trying to make people feel seen and loved and appreciated has been a part of that. And I think that is why some of these guys who wrote these books were like, okay, who's this like 20-year-old kid who's doing card tricks? You know what? He seems pretty good. I'll give him a couple pointers. And then I went back years later and was like, hey, Alan Afterman, I came up to you in a bar when I was like 22 in Vegas, and you didn't know me from Adam, and you sat down with me and taught me the diagonal palm shift, and you probably forgot, but like meant the world to me as a kid. And then Alan was like, oh, well, okay. And so now when I have a crediting thing, I'm like, I don't know where this move comes from. I'll call Alan and he'll take his time to help me out. It's like that book Choke. There's a book called Choke that was written by, help me here, you wrote Fight Club.
Who is it?
Yes, thank you. Yeah. The whole idea, premise of the book is that this character pretends to choke in restaurants so that people will save his life, and then they feel connected to him, and then he starts asking them for money, and then they give it to him because they're like, I saved this guy's life. And so I think what I'm doing is a very, very non-manipulative version of that.
Yeah. As a first-hand experience from Ben, he is very honest. So sleight of hand is not in his personality at all. He's so true to everything he's saying. I didn't pay him anything. Did that demo come through, Ben, that I sang?
Yeah. Dude, I mean what I said, man. Like, if you're working on a project and I can be of service, I can be of help. Like, I know that if Jordan calls me and he's like, I'm working on this thing for this client, and I know it would, like, his daughter is a fan of magic and watched your video. Like, I'm like, great. I'm going to make a video and send it to her. So, I will move mountains to help you, man, because you have for me. And so, like, I think that's how I roll with a lot of my friends, and a lot of my friendships are based around work collaborations. And like, it's like, help me out. I'll help you out. Rising tides raises all boats. I'm very bad with analogies.
Yep. That's our new theme for the group, by the way. We're just stealing that whole thing. That's good. Anyone have any questions for Ben, or is you guys Bill? Well, let's give another I can't believe Ben has so much to offer. I mean, we could talk all night, honestly. We do when we chat. But
it was very cool getting to be here, guys. Jordan, it's so cool that you put this group together. I hope that it continues to grow and flourish, and that you guys keep being assets for each other at SLC.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, there it is, Ben Seidman, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye. Good seeing you, Kelsey.
See ya. Okay. You need the microphone, Connor, or are you good? Do you want this?
I don't think I need it.
I don't think we need it. It's kind of pretentious, But
I'll use it if you want me to. No.
Okay. Just pop this guy on. And okay, so love the discussion with Ben. Incredible. Like, he's so good every time, but he's just good to know. Like, he's so good at what he does. But Connor is also a good friend, and Connor and I go back years. Jordan as well. You're doing incredible stuff. So I want him to show off what he's doing, but also kind of dig in the weeds a little bit. So if you want to jump straight in, I know we have till 8:30. John, are we good?
Okay. Yeah.
Man, I'll switch over to here.
Yeah. Thank you.
I only go over to Chrome.
All right. I'm Connor England. Really excited to be here. Jordan, thanks for having me. Yeah. Today I've put together a presentation about making better films. And my hope is that whoever, I don't know who would be here, but wherever you're at in the creative world as far as filmmaking goes, if you're a beginner, active videographer, or someone with a very niche interest in the style of films that I like to make, you walk away with something that you can build on. So I started making or stepping into the video world back in 2020. I work full-time as a PA in urgent care, and 2020 being COVID, I got really defeated in medicine, and I was thinking, this is not what I went to school for. And I told my wife on a drive home, I was like, you know what, I'm thinking about leaving medicine. I think this is not for me. She said, well, why don't we pump the brakes for a minute? And we have 2 kids, we have to feed them. And why don't you try spending some time exploring a passion? Explore a passion, a hobby, something that you can dive into for a creative outlet. And I was like, filmmaking is definitely that. So I stepped into Connor Blake Media, and I still do everything with Connor Blake Media, but my business side of my video world is working with interviews, event coverage, and then branding, which I know a lot of those can be pretty broad, but that's the business side. My creative side, which I'm most excited about, is making short films and specific interest in the horror genre. I actually don't love horror films, but I love all things Halloween, Goosebumps, and everything surrounding that. And so the films I make, I like to push toward giving that vibe. I had someone tell me once, your style's kind of like watching a Goosebumps episode or something like that. And for a second I was like, I don't know if that's an insult or not, but I love it. I love it. And yes, and I've ran with it, and I feel like I would love to breathe that life back into horror, and that's where I hope my films and short films continue in the future. On that, I needed a place to show my films, and so I just decided I'm gonna make a film festival. Why not do it at the same time? That's easy. It's not easy, it's a lot, and there's a lot to it, but it's been a lot of fun. Dark Cinema Film Festival, we'll be hosting our 3rd year at Tooele County on October 10th. So if anyone wants to join, shoot me a message, we'll get you some free tickets. But Dark Cinema Film Festival is my other baby, and that's where we have been featuring the films that we've made together. So Dead Air is a film that I got the chance to make last year. I had a friend approach me about Dead Air, and he's like, hey, I've got a story that I wrote. I've never made a film before. Can I send this your way? And I said, you bet. Let me look at it. I read through it, and I was like, whoa, this is amazing. We should make this together. That friend is Jordan, who's sitting right here. He's the writer of Dead Air and co-director for Dead Air. And it was a lot of fun. And I feel like with every film, I walk away with things that I should have done better, should have done different, and things that I liked. And so we're going to use Dead Air as a case study to go through a few different things. Here is a quick trailer.
Welcome back to the only station that still remembers how to make a little noise.
The stars still shine at night.
Oh, they're out there, all right. You just have to squint real hard and pretend the world's still got a bit of magic left in it.
You don't believe that. You haven't seen the stars in years.
I don't need to see them to know they're there.
They're watching.
Who is this?
Always watching. Can you feel it? The weight of their eyes.
Our filming will be divided into 3 different blocks. Our block 1, which is between now and lunch, probably about 3 hours is my game plan. Maybe it'll be faster, maybe it'll be slower. That's our plan. Keep me there.
I remember these. It's like $10 a minute.
You might really need to talk to someone here.
Like, man.
We got to go through the trucker seat.
All right, let's get ready to roll in 10. This is a little fun behind the scenes that Jordan Gibby got. He was main camera operator on that for us. So three lessons that I'd like to talk about that we learned from Dead Air is 1, making the film happen. 2, expecting problems and barriers to rise. And then 3, creating a mood on set. And we'll talk about why I chose all of those sections. Lesson 1, making the film happen. We're going to cover use what you have, keep it simple, and preparation is key. Use what you have. When me and Jordan started talking about the film, I think we saw a lot of evolution of story writing. And we went about it in a way where we looked at the film and decided, what can we make with the original story? And Jordan's parents had a 1965 trailer that we could just use. Great, let's bring that into it. His brother runs an HVAC company. Hey, I've got an HVAC shop you can use. I'm not even in it. Great, let's use that. And let's make our story synonymously match that. And I feel like using what we had available to us made the production go forward. And it made it so we didn't hit a barrier that held us back from making the film. And I feel like once we got the gears in motion, things really just carried on quickly. And my thoughts with that is this applies to a lot of things, just not locations. It can apply to actors, to props, to even locations that you have access to. And those are some things at least that pop out to me. This picture is not from Dead Air. This is me deciding before last Dark Cinema Film Festival, 2 weeks before, I'm going to make a short film to be a way to convey and showcase what films we're showing in our festival. 2 weeks before, why not? And then I realized real quick, man, I've got a lot to do before the festival. And so I still wanted to do it. And so I decided, how can I make this happen in an easy way where I can do it in one night? And I thought about, what do I live by? We live by an old pioneer village called Benson Gristmill, thank you. If I could rent that out, pretty much set design, done. They rented it to me for $25 an hour. It was great. And then we did some ghost hunting after, and it was awesome. Anyways, this is what we made there, and it was just like a one-night film because of the set that we had access to. One of my friends is in an active screamo band up in Oregon. So once again, people you know. That was TJ Marshall. Yeah. Anyways, I wanted to show that just because it was I've got no time on my hands, but sometimes if you have access to a good location, actor, you can make something happen. The next part to that is to keep it simple. My very first narrative film was called Concessions. We made it at a old cinema in Tooele, and it's called the Ritz Theater. And when I went about writing the story, I had it in 7 different locations. We had 7 sets to film in 2 days. No, it was 1 day. It was 1 full day. We did 1 full day. It was 1 full day. And I look back now and I'm like, what was I thinking? And we were behind on time. We were like cheating every scene. And I walked away thinking, man, this was a learning experience. I'm still very happy about what we made, but I learned from it. My next film, Camp Evergreen, we had three different sets. Yeah, spent more time. Dead Air, 3. The one we're currently working on filming next month, we have 1 set. And my thought here is by keeping it simple, specifically with your set, you can really dial in the set. You can spend time creating that world, spending time with your special effects, working with your team. If you're spread too thin, I think quality or quantity is not quality. So I think I have this will go through our 3 sets that we have in Dead Air. An old trailer, which was so fun to set up with Jordan. The field outside the trailer. It was hot. Danny was a champ for wearing that. And our HVAC shop.
Relationship was high maintenance.
We kept it simple. We kept it simple, and it made it more fun. It made it so we were less stressed. We could actually do things. We spent extra time getting shots we need. So the second note on that is to keep it simple. And then the third part for lesson 1 to making the film happen is preparation is key. I think it's never too early to start planning for pre-production. The big picture is made up of brushstrokes. When you look at an amazing painting, man, there was thousands of brushstrokes that made it up. And I think that also applies with a film. Tiny little steps you take, really in the long run, pay off and make it more enjoyable. For me, I like to keep a to-do list. I like to create a routine. This first picture up top is me making a clay puppet for my next film. I've never made a puppet before, but I thought with enough time, enough practice, and enough drive, why not? So I made a routine. Every morning I'd get up and I'd put on some jazz music, have a cup of coffee, tea, whatever it be, and I would work on a puppet. And so this guy's name is Grog. He is now, we have 2 of them, and they are latex puppets that will be operated by a puppet operator in our next film. One of them will light on fire, and the other will just pop out of a guy's abdomen and spray blood all over. So anyways, it took me probably 45 days to make both puppets because I was just learning how to do it, a lot of trial and error. If I was doing this in 2 weeks, I would never have made my own puppet, and I think it would bring less value to the film. And then here's Jordan. Jordan did an awesome job with pre-production and preparing things. Here he's made a few graves that we used in front of our second set. Lesson 2. Challenges and limitations. I feel like it's easy to look at a project and be intimidated by, man, what's going to go wrong? What limitations do I have? Do I have the budget? Do I have the gear? Do I have the crew? And then if you do run into problems, I feel like that can be a setback. It can be disheartening. I would hope that after kind of talking about this, I at least give a little bit of a spark about encouraging everyone to look forward to problems and limitations. I think through that stress and through that having the forced creativity, you can adapt in a way and create something that you wouldn't have created without that problem or that barrier. And this particular, I think there's one more slide before I jump here. Oh, yes. I wanted to bring this horror film up, The Blair Witch Project. Has everyone seen this film?
Masterpiece.
Yes, but you think about when it was made, all the limitations, the barriers, the crew, the access to money they had. Man, they went through a lot to make this film, and I'm sure it was really, really tough. But I think through that, it gave it the grit that this has, and essentially it made it its own found footage genre, which is amazing. And so I think through those limitations and barriers, they made something that essentially has made its own genre in the horror world, which I love. This picture is a picture of me and Jordan Gibby. Speaking of him, this is a limitation we had on Dead Air. One particular scene, I envisioned Danny stepping up to look out the window, looking at the barren wasteland. But the way the shop was set up, it didn't quite make sense to have him do that. So we kind of had a TLC and figure out, well, how are we going to make this work? And running into that barrier and our creativity really led us to create, which I know is mine, and it sounds like Jordan's as well, favorite shot of the entire film, because we ran into a barrier and adapted into a long shot. And I've got a little behind the scenes side by. They're barely off, so I apologize. Yeah, this is fun. I think it took us, 4 tries? Yeah, it was fun. Yeah. We had to do 4 takes with it because there's a light up top, and we kept accidentally catching the light or maybe not flowing very good, but eventually, yeah, we nailed it. It was really fun. those biceps.
That's a sick behind the scenes.
Kind of fun, huh?
Yeah. I know, this is my guitar face or video face.
Pretty fun. Anyways, I think through that particular barrier and difficulty with our story progression, it really made, I think, one of the best shots of the whole film. A few other challenges that I've faced. I did a shot with shoot for Utah Film Center's summer movie series, and I got there and I had a plan to open it up and close it with a drone shot, and I forgot my remote. Crap! I can't fly this anymore. So it made me decide a new opening and go a new pathway. And this bottom shot right here is one of the screenshots of the opening shots I got for their event coverage. And I actually love it a ton more. I feel like the vibe captured this summer evening much better than a drone would have. And so the fact that I ran into that barrier wasn't defeating, it was disappointing initially, but ended up actually leading to some of my favorite shots that I think brought a much better summer mood to the video they wanted covered. This top one, this awesome monster is Lorelei. We filmed up at Camp Tracy in Mill Creek Canyon, and this was my other film called Camp Evergreen. And Camp Evergreen, oh my gosh, we went so late into the night. Michael was there and it was great. Jordan was there for this one too, but we were so far behind. This is like at 2 a.m. and we're just like, all right, we gotta get the shot of our monster for like this scary scene, but we're out of time. So we all just lifted up the girl, had someone lay on the ground to get the shot of her face, and then we just practiced lowering her, like all of us just like lifting with our hands so we could bust it out, get it done. And I think us being behind on time, I mean, required innovating, but it turned out great and it looked good. But yeah, one of the other problems we encountered there. My recent puppet cracked, but we'll maybe move on for time's sake, but.
We got time, John? You have to hurry, you don't have to rush.
Cool. Yeah, I told you I recently learned how to make puppets. That's something I'm still working on. And one of my puppets, the clay cracked after it dried. I painted it, spent tons of time on it, and then sprayed it with a clear coating to protect it, and then started eggshelling it and making it super fragile so we couldn't use it. It was so defeating. But I found ways around it, and I found the proper method for it. So what I learned was essentially you have to mix in ink with latex and paint the ink and latex on instead of just acrylic paint. So anyways, live and learn. So, all right, lesson 3. When I look back at Dead Air, I feel like my favorite thing about Dead Air is it just has this flavor, this atmosphere, and this flavor that I just really, really enjoy. And so this is a little bit more of a niche lesson for filmmaking, but I wanted to talk about creating mood on set. And Michael, I kind of already practiced with you going through these 3. You didn't know this, but the 3 things that I feel like brought mood and flavor on set was locations, curated items, and then also practical lighting. Locations we kind of already talked about, but I wanted to loop back to locations because I feel like a properly chosen location can add so much story and history to your set. It can show someone that it's lived in, and I think that it takes a lot of work off your table to give it that vibe, but I think it just adds extra depth where it builds into the world that you're creating. So spending time choosing a good location, like I think we did, Jordan, on this one, I think is a really big deal. Camp Evergreen example is a little bit of maybe what not to do again. I went to Camp Tracy as a Boy Scout, and I thought, you know what, wouldn't it be cool to host our entire film crew up at Camp Tracy for 3 days? So I wanted to make it happen. So we pushed forward even though some things were not ideal. This was the cabin I chose that we need to use. It's perfect. But when I first got there, this is what it looked like. Had a fridge. I mean, it was essentially an office space that I think one of the Rangers used for their meetings. So it required half the day of working. This is my friend Tanner. I mean, single-handedly pulling a fridge out of the space. We had to move all the chairs. And they even had these like overhead lights, which we didn't want for part of the cabin. So we had to like make our own like logs to put up there. Essentially, it was a dining room table is what we used that we stitched together for that. So kind of fun. But Yeah, I think choosing a location that maybe adds to your story to make less work. This was maybe more of a what not to do and a before and after. The second part is curated items. Jordan and I, as we were preparing for this film, it was probably 5 months before we actually met and went to production, is we really hunted for unique items that told a story and brought flavor. And I feel like in this, my favorite item is this little Twinkie guy. And that's literally one of the shots that's in the film. But I feel like when you're making a set, look for ways to make it feel lived in. And I think when you're hunting for items, wherever it may be it eBay, Mercari, the DI, thrift stores, look for things that bring flavor. And I think that is one of the big things that brought the vibe that I love about Dead Air. The third part to creating a mood on set is practical lights. Tanner Olson was our primary gaffer, and we're also had a DP on this too. Tanner's helped me with a lot of different projects, and he's known for saying, we need more practical lights or more lamps. And I know it sounds really funny, but I feel like having practical lights, essentially, for those who don't know, are lights that could normally be in the scene that can add to the lighting that you're doing, like a motivation, or just add depth to the scene and more interest. This is a silly line that I wanted to write in, but get lights and point them at stuff, point them at things. Seriously, like naturally you think of lighting and you're, we gotta light our actor, or we gotta light this particular person. But sometimes if you just light parts of your scene, it gives a lot of depth. This is a little bit of behind the scenes. I wanted to count out how many practical lights you see. We've got 1, 2. That one back there is not quite a practical.
That's okay. Okay, I'm gonna get Wilson on just fine. And then for 2.
3 up top, 4 here, pointed at that random little moon guy.
Do you want me to pour before I say?
Oh, and then there's a on-air sign that I count as a practical light. Oh, there it is. Yep. So maybe 5.
Maybe I could take this, pour it. Good evening, Walker.
So that particular scene that we were looking at had 5 practical lights, and we just had a tiny little set. And you didn't see there were 3 other practical lights, a TV screen and 2 desk lamps as well right behind us. And I feel like that added tons of mood and flavor to the set. So if you have lights, get more, and point them at things to keep it very basic. But a Dead Air recap. Make the film happen. The best film is not the idea that never actually reaches the screen, but it's the film that you can actually share and love. And so use what you have, keep it simple, and prepare ahead of time. Limitations and challenges are going to happen, but my encouragement is when you reach those barricades, make it your favorite shot. Creating mood on set, choose a location that tells a story, spend time with curated items, and get some practical lighting. I love working with filmmakers. I love working with other creatives. We have a really cool production crew that we just do it for fun. We just make films, and it's a really good time. So my invitation is reach out to me. And if you'd like to work on a project or you need extra hands on board, let me know. And I would love to connect and be creative. Before we move on to questions, I did want to bring up Jordan Kinsman's here with us. He was our writer and director. So if you do have questions, either direct them toward me or toward Jordan. I'm sure he'd be able to answer them even better than I could. So.
I've got a question that, I mean, maybe it's not really answerable. As I get older, bandwidth for creative time, is always kind of a battle. And one thing that I feel like I've learned is what you're doing when you're not being creative will have an effect on what you're doing when you're creative. And you're just a guy that I feel like if I could sum up in one word, energy. Like you do so much, and you keep these machines running. And I'm just wondering what you do in your personal life to kind of keep your tank topped off. You know what I mean? Maybe that's a tough thing to answer, but what's the secret? Any life hacks?
Yeah. Drugs. I mean, truth be told,
Michael, I feel like
It goes back to one of the things that I already talked about. I think it's creating a dedicated time to be creative. And for me, that's morning time. I wake up at 6 a.m. It's usually about an hour before my kids get up, and I sit and I try to be creative doing something. Recently, that's been molding with clay, but other times it's been writing a script. Other times it's been me working on a project or kind of going down that pathway. So I think maybe finding a time in the day consistently that you can do something creative. And I think that's pretty broad, but
Yeah, no, thank you. I like that.
that's my thought.
I have a question. What did you call me about cameras? It was this is not the question, but I'm trying to figure
2020.
out. 2020.
Yeah.
So I get the phone call on the blue. Connor England's calling me. I'm like, what? He doesn't talk to me in a few years at that point, and he is just like, hey Jordan, what camera should I buy? And I was like, what are you doing? You ready to talk? He's like, no, dude, I have to get out of this. I have to do something else. I was like, you don't want to film. I'll tell you what, you don't want. And so, but you were so adamant that there was something you wanted to make. Did you know what you wanted to make at that point, or were you just learning? I didn't ever ask.
I took an online course, Utah filmmaker, or
You
no,
did?
full-time filmmaker.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I took their course, and it kind of just went from there.
And then I had a friend, it was Lizzie Bean and McKenna, that reached out to me as I was starting to like make videos. And they reached out, they're like, hey, we need a videographer over in Maine to work on a pilot episode for a dark comedy. And we'll pay for you to come over, we'll house you in some cabins on a lake. And I said, great, yep, let's do it. So I went to Maine for a week. And then after I came back, I was like, so normal people can just make a film. And I feel like once that like switch was flipped, I was like, let's make our own films. And it kind of just went from there. So
Because I've watched him just know nothing to, he's making movies. And that's why I wanted him to speak, because he learned the craft and he's learning the craft. But I mean, I love supporting it. So I want us to just see that it's totally doable as a group. I mean, you do a great job. So I just wanted to ask that question. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
we're 6 minutes over on time. This was awesome. Thank you for putting this together. Thanks for letting me come and share a bit. I'm very young in the filmmaking world, but love to connect and yeah, keep in touch.